Hey, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to talk about 5 basic drone shots and what you can do to take them from basic to incredible and add them to your videos to make them look amazing. Welcome to the channel. My name is Jake Sloan. I'm an Alaskan-based videographer and photographer, and I love shooting videos and photos with drones. If you've been around this channel for any time at all, you know that a lot of my videos have to do with drones, and they are a great tool that allows us to capture a perspective, to capture life from a perspective that is impossible to do, or at the very least, extremely dangerous to do with a normal camera like this. And so drones are an excellent tool. However, they've exploded in the use in the last few years, especially here on YouTube. And so a lot of the basic sort of cinematic drone shots that used to be incredible and amazing are now pretty normal, commonplace, and boring. In fact, on a drone like this, the Mavic 2 Pro, they come pre-programmed in a lot of cases. So I want to talk about what are things we can do to take those shots from normal, boring, what everybody can do, to something extraordinary and super cinematic. However, that comes with a caveat. It involves more risk. So, full disclaimer, what you're going to be doing does involve a higher level of risk with how you fly your drone. So it's important that you know how to fly your drone well using your sticks and your gimbal control, because otherwise you might end up crashing. And I would recommend that you practice these things in an open field and get flight time so that you know you feel comfortable, you feel confident flying your drone when you get into some of these situations. All that being said, fly safe, fly smart, don't take unnecessary risks in the moment. Get comfortable with your drone when you have a minimum level of risk. So practice this stuff in a big open field, away from people, away from houses, away from anything that could do damage, and away from anything that could hurt and destroy your drone. As you get more comfortable with it, then you can start moving into some of the more tight spaces and difficult to fly spaces. But remember, always fly safely and smart. To start off with, we're going to talk about my favorite shot because it's one of the ones I probably use the most, and that's the pullback and reveal shot. It's a great way to establish your subject, your character, you in your location by pulling the drone back and exposing the audience to more information as it pulls back. So whether you're in some epic location like standing on a glacier or walking through the woods or on a beach or something like that, the pullback can really add a lot of great information and establish you, your subject, and where you are in a shot. That being said, to make it more exciting than just the regular pullback, and yes, I can't believe I'm saying this, that, you know, it would be boring standing on a glacier and pulling back, there are ways you can make it more exciting and more interesting. One of the ways, and this is where it gets risky, is to pull back through objects. Now, I'm not the first person to do this. There's other people out there that do this super well, but pulling back through an object really adds a level of motion and excitement that really captures people's attention in a way like nothing else. That being said, you need to practice this on a very calm day in a controlled environment, like I said before, away from people, and start with just pulling back near one object or two objects. If you want to know more information about how to do this, there's a gentleman named Matthias, something like that. I'll link his channel in the description below. He's got some great examples of how to do this, but pulling back through objects or near objects is a great way to add some excitement to those types of shots. My next favorite shot is the Dolly, which is just the drone flying straight and level, pushing in toward a subject or pulling back from a subject, but you're not gaining or losing any altitude. You're just going straight in. Now, one of the ways to make this more exciting and more enticing, and it also adds to the sense of scale of wherever you're flying, is to do it very low and very close to the ground. Now, a word of warning. You have to know how to manually fly your drone and keep an eye on things, because it has never failed that every single time I try this shot, my drone, which does have bottom sensors, will inevitably sink toward the ground at some point. And I've done this flying over ice, over water, over ground, and it always ends up sinking toward the ground. So I have to keep a very close eye on my altitude in compared to the ground and keep it there. Otherwise, you're gonna wreck at some point. The push in and the pull out really adds something that's very cool, because when you're zipping along the bottom, whether it's the ocean or water or ice or snow or ground, it doesn't really matter. It adds this speed and this excitement and this thrilling sort of feeling of zipping along something, but also because stuff is flying so close to you, it makes the sense of everything around you is big and huge and epic. My third and another one of my favorites, I love this shot, is parallaxing. When you're zooming or you're orbiting around a subject, but you're keeping the subject perfectly in the center of frame, and an orbit is one of the pre-programmed modes in this, and it does a good job, but it's normal. I mean, everybody can do it that has one of these drones now. So to add another depth and dimension to it, I like to change the altitude. So when say you're standing on something high, you can start parallaxing, but also adding altitude as you're coming around reveals what's below you, and it just makes this really cool diagonal parallax effect. The other way to do it is, of course, sweeping down around a subject, which also reveals a lot. And adding the altitude change just makes it go from, that's a cool shot, to, wow, that's amazing. Fourth, and another one of my favorites, I guess these are all my favorites, but fourth would be the establishing shot. And these are probably the most common drone shots you see. An establishing shot is usually a really wide shot to show the entire scene of what the next piece of your story is going to take place in. And an establishing shot can be almost even just static. However, adding some movement will make it have a little more depth and a little more interest. And so whether you're flying just straight forward and you fly up over an object to reveal a little bit more information, that's great. Or whether you're flying straight and level and you just pan the gimbal up slowly as you're moving, it just adds a little bit extra to make that drone shot really stand out. And so remember that as you're shooting establishing shots, adding a little bit more motion will really help to add a little bit extra to that drone shot. So fifth is a top-down shot. A top-down shot is a perspective that you just don't see from normal life. And so straight down over trees, straight down over pretty much anything is just a different perspective than most people see. A top-down shot can be great if you show your subject walking through a forest of trees or something like that. It's just such a different and unique angle. But again, adding motion and movement while you're shooting top-down really adds to the storytelling and the cinematics of the drone footage. And now I want to give you 2 bonus tips to really make your drone footage stand out. Number 1, which I've talked a lot about in this video already, is add motion. Have the drone moving at all times. Don't just let it be a static shot unless you're taking a picture, but always have the drone moving, because that adds so much more interest, and it's continually revealing information to your audience, to your watchers, so that they stay interested and they're always looking for something new. And the second tip is scale. You have to have something in your video that gives you a sense of scale, especially if you're shooting things that are incredible, giant landscapes. Nobody has any idea how big or how small something is until they see something they're familiar with. And so in my case, when I'm standing out on a glacier, it's all great. You see this huge glacier, it's like, oh, that's wonderful. But you have no idea how big it is until you see the person in the shot. Or in a case like this, when I'm flying backwards through an ice cave, the ice cave is cool until you see the people, and then you realize this ice cave is huge and giant and massive. And so adding something in your shot, generally a person, but something in your shot to give your viewers a sense of the scale of what they're seeing is going to add a lot to your drone footage. Now, if you want to see some of my other videos about how to use DJI drones, you can click or tap right here. If you want to see some of my other tech reviews, you can click or tap right here. Like, comment, subscribe, all the social things, all the YouTube things. I'll see you again soon in the next video.